Hi everyone! It has been a long time since I wanted to make a sketchbook tour video, but for some reason I've always been putting it off. So the sketchbook I chose for this tour is not the prettiest. Actually, it's even probably my ugliest sketchbook. Actually, it's not even a sketchbook, it's just a notebook from Moleskine. I wasn't sure how to create a video that could be interesting enough because I really wanted to not only show sketches, but I was more interested in showing the process behind something rather than just some random sketches. So yeah, I hope it's going to be fun, or at least to be interesting. And so let's go. The thing that I thought was interesting was that I actually started the sketchbook when I arrived to Florence a year ago, in September 2019, and I finished it in June. Yes, in June, before I left to France for the summer. So it's like a kind of summary of what my year has been. I drew this page at the end of the first week I spent in Florence. I really wanted to keep a memory of all the things that had happened, all the things I had done, and I don't do that often now, but I used to keep small sketchbooks, very small, that I would bring everywhere with me, and I would use to draw things I did today, when I went on a trip, or when I had a special day, something I wanted to remember. I'm always happy to look back at them, so yeah, I just wanted to keep memories there. By the way, this pie was absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I loved it so much. I'll try to find a picture to show you how it was, because it was so beautiful and so good. Some sketches I did for my fabric collection for Figo. This was the first project I worked on when I arrived to Florence. We decided to create a collection around cats and flowers. So there are mainly sketches for the main prints, which were one with cats and flowers, another one with only flowers, and then a third one with cat heads. So here are the cats for the cat pattern. It's strange to look at them again because I remember how hard the first weeks in Florence were for me. This project really helped me to keep my mind off things and just stay busy, and cats and flowers are such fun things to draw and to paint, so it was really a great way to be busy and not think too much and just spend time with my paints. I remember the first time I took my paints out of the suitcase. It was so strange. I was at this tiny table, very small, in our previous flat, and I barely had enough space to put my computer and all of my paints at the same time on the table. Last winter, the illustrator Nienke Glossier wrote me an email because she had started a company which sells birth announcement, and she asked me if I would like to design some for her. Nienke left me a total freedom to create the designs, which was really amazing, and I sketched a few ideas, and some of them made it to the end, but not all of them. If you've been following my work for a while, you might have noticed that I almost never ever draw human characters, because my favorite things to paint are actually flowers and animals. But sometimes I wish I could also paint people, which is very funny because when I started illustration, the only thing almost that I could draw properly were humans. I was only drawing humans. And then little by little, my work shifted more towards flowers and animals, and I slowly but surely forgot how to draw humans. So one day I just started to sketch people from photos I found on Pinterest. I'm sorry, by the way, I don't have the names of the photographers because I just found them there and sometimes the name was not mentioned. But after that I went on Instagram and I found an account that I really liked by a photographer named Nguyen. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it well, but it's written Nguan. They take the most beautiful picture of people, and there are always very beautiful color schemes and very beautiful lights and shadows, and so I thought that it could be a good way to practice. These sketches are made with Copic markers and colored pencils still. When I want to make colored sketches, at least in that sketchbook, I almost always used markers and colored pencils just to add a little bit of texture on top. These are sketches I made after I took a class on Skillshare about how to create a pattern collection, because I had always wanted to design my own collection, and after I did one with Figo, it made me want to learn even more. I feel like you can do so many things with patterns that it's kind of magical, or at least I really love them, so I wanted to try. And so I tried to sketch a few ideas for a collection I could work on as a personal project, but in the end it never made it. I also made a couple of watercolor sketches, I think, but nothing I liked enough to be turned into patterns, so I just gave up after a while. I was supposed to revolve around apple trees and everything related to apples, and with a very autumnal feel. I had very high hopes and expectations for this collection, which I don't think I had the skills to actually meet, but it was very fun to work a little bit on that. Last December I had the chance to work on a custom portrait, which I almost never do. Someone commissioned me a portrait for a Christmas present, and it was wonderful because the person who would receive the portrait really liked flowers, and of course I was really happy to get to draw flowers in a commission. So it was very nice to work on this one. There was even a tiny cat, so what more could I ask? At the beginning of this year, 2020, I had the great pleasure to work for the second time with Caroline Perry, who is a children's book author. She writes stories for children, and I already illustrated one of her previous books called The Prickly Little Pine Tree. Then she wrote to me again asking if I would like to illustrate another one of her stories called Walter, inspired by her life in New York City. And as soon as I read the text, I immediately fell in love with it, so I was so happy to be working on that. I worked on it for about 2 months in January and February 2020. All of her books are self-published. Her small publishing house is called Maison Léontine. And the main character of the story is obviously called Walter. I'm going to show you the sketches, but I also don't want to spoil the story because it's a very cute book. So I'm not going to show you all of the sketches in details. There we go. Meet Walter. I don't remember where it came from exactly, but a few months ago, I think it was in February or March, I got really obsessed with white panthers for a few weeks. I started to read a lot of things about them and I found them very beautiful, and I saw pictures of them in their natural habitat, and it struck me how beautiful they looked within the landscape because there were so many different textures and colors, and I thought that it would make a wonderful pattern, and even more beautiful pattern collection, because I still had in mind that I wanted to do a pattern collection, and I had given up on the apple tree on the apple tree adventure. So I thought that I would try to work on this. I made a few researches and in the end they became paintings. So the paintings never became patterns, and the pattern collection, just like the apple tree one, is still just a dream and a project in my sketchbook. But I'm not giving up on this one because I think that it could be a good idea. So I'm hoping that maybe someday when I have more time, I can maybe take the idea back and work on it more and maybe do something this time. Who knows? Anything can happen. This sentence comes from a day when I was having a walk next to the river. It was a period where I wasn't feeling very inspired or motivated to paint, and I didn't like any of the ideas I had, and I was just feeling generally a little bit melancholic, I would say. And I realized that feeling melancholic is strange. It's not like exactly being sad. It's kind of like being sad but happy at the same time. It reminded me of a deflated yellow balloon, just because a yellow balloon is something happy and joyful, but if it's deflated then it still has the joyful side to it, but it's also a little bit sad to see a deflated balloon. Last year in 2019, when I opened my Etsy shop, or more exactly when I was preparing to open my Etsy shop, I thought that maybe something nice would be to offer paper dolls, because this is something I find quite poetical. I think it's a nice activity because if you feel stuck creatively or you're maybe not used to draw, I think it's a good way to start making something yourself without having to think too much and without fearing to have to create from the scratch. And then at the end you have this beautiful object that you can use to decorate or even to play with if you kept the soul of a child or to give to a child to play with. Anyway, so I created a bear paper doll, and then things got very busy. I finally got to open the shop, and then I moved to Italy, and I gave up the project because I didn't have time, and then my shop was closed, so it was too late already. But then when the lockdown came and I saw a lot of designers and illustrators offering things for free, like free activities, free printables, free things to make this weird time a little bit brighter, a little bit happier, and to keep everyone busy. I thought that it might be a good idea to finally give some life to this bear and live some adventures, because it had been sitting in a folder of my computer for months. So I uploaded the bear and I received a very positive and happy response. So I was really touched and really happy that people liked it. And so I could see that people were pleased, and I was pleased because it gave me something to do as well. So I decided that every week of the lockdown I would create a new paper doll to download and print from home. I also asked on Instagram some suggestions about what people would like to see, and it was a very exciting project and I liked it a lot. This page is a page of research I made because back in June 2020 the company No Issue Co. contacted me and they offered to make a custom stamp for me in exchange for a post on Instagram. It was a period of time when I was trying to find a new logo, because I've been using my little cat head with a hat for a long time and I really wanted something a little bit new, and I had just painted a little bird with an umbrella. I liked the simplicity of it, and so I was trying to find something for the stamp that could be simple but also delicate at the same time, and in the end this is the one I picked. This is the result of the stamp. So the sketchbook tour is coming to an end. I think we've seen all of the interesting sketches. I have a few pages which I couldn't show you in detail because the projects that are there are not out yet, so I can't really speak about them. I'm sorry about that, it's very frustrating. I wish I could share them with you, but hopefully in a little while when they will be available, maybe I can share that with you then. I hope that you enjoyed this video and you liked seeing the behind the scenes of some projects. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you had a good time. I hope you will have a beautiful day and take care of yourselves. Bye. See you soon. Bye.